Sagittarius, a temporal gateway in June will redefine your life forever. Can you feel the shift stirring in your spirit? There's something ancient moving through you right now, a quiet acceleration. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks, yet it pulses beneath every thought, every emotion, every beat of your heart. You, more than anyone, know the sensation of expansion. You were born under a sky that asked for more. More truth, more freedom, more soul. And now, in the sacred turning of this cosmic season, the universe is asking you to become the version of yourself you've only dreamed about until now. June is not just another month. It is a passage, one that will not repeat in this form again. A window is opening, Sagittarius, and through it flows the rarest combination of energy, clarity, and divine timing. This is not simply about change. It's about acceleration, about becoming who you were meant to be, not in theory but in practice. In presence, in power. You may have sensed it already. Random moments of insight, a sudden surge of energy, subtle but undeniable synchronicities. These are not coincidences. They are cosmic echoes preparing you for the leap. This video is not a prediction. It's a reminder. A soul message from the stars, carried through Sophia's voice, to guide you home to your higher self. Sparkles if what you're hearing resonates. Let this be a sacred space. Like, share, and subscribe, not out of habit but as a vow. A soul contract to walk this path fully and fearlessly. Together. Because the moment has arrived. And you, Sagittarius, are more ready than you think. Gate 1, the sacred activation of purpose. Sagittarius, in the quiet hours of early June, something began whispering your name. Not out loud but through experience. It came as a discontent you couldn't place, a dream that wouldn't leave you, or a sudden burst of clarity during the most mundane part of your day. These are not passing thoughts. They are the symptoms of a deeper truth. Your purpose is activating. You were not born to follow the path of another. Your fire is not here to warm someone else's dream. And for years, perhaps even decades, you've been moving, searching, growing, yet secretly asking, what is all this for? Now the answer is arriving, not as a fully formed sentence, but as a visceral call pulling you into motion. June is the gate, and you, Sagittarius, are the key. Let me take you to a story. One Sagittarius woman I worked with, Elena, was an artist by nature, but a marketer by profession. For years, she painted only in the stolen hours between meetings, telling herself that one day, when the timing was right, she would let her real work be seen. But life, as it does, kept piling on responsibilities. Until one evening in June, she watched the sunset hit her canvas just right, and something cracked open. It wasn't logical. It was sacred. She quit her job the next week. And within 6 months, her artwork was featured in a healing retreat center across the world. That wasn't luck. That was alignment. And what opened the door? A window. A divine one. The kind that only appears once the universe knows you're finally ready to remember who you really are. You may not feel ready, Sagittarius. That's normal. Purpose doesn't wait for readiness. It waits for willingness. You might feel the pull to finally launch that idea you've been sketching in journals. Or to study something that makes no sense to your practical mind but feels essential to your soul. Or to leave behind a job, city, or dynamic that was once part of your survival, but now feels like a cage. These impulses are sacred, not reckless. Don't dismiss them. Your purpose isn't a title, it's a frequency. And in June, the sky is recalibrating your inner compass so that you can finally follow it with conviction. The stars are aligned in such a way that your internal clarity will increase tenfold. If you dare to listen, you'll begin to notice signs that echo what you've quietly known all along. The time is now, not next year, not after you get more experience, not when you feel more confident. Now. What stops most people is not lack of purpose but fear of standing out. And Sagittarius, let's be honest. You've spent years being the encourager, the explorer, the teacher of others. But now, the lesson is yours. The frontier is your own life. And the hardest part? You can't Google map the way. You must trust your inner knowing. Sophia always says, purpose is not found in certainty. It's forged in the fire of choice. You may feel the pressure of others' expectations. You may worry about failing, about starting something and not finishing it. But let me tell you this, your soul does not care about perfection. cares about motion, about showing up. Sagittarius, you are ruled by Jupiter, planet of expansion, wisdom, and destiny. That's not a metaphor. It's a blueprint. When you withhold your gifts, you don't just block yourself. You deny the world the medicine only you can offer. What is it that keeps returning to your heart, no matter how many times you push it away? That is your clue. I know a Sagittarius man, David, who had spent 20 years as an engineer. Brilliant, respected, but chronically tired. He told me during a session that what he really wanted was to teach philosophy to teens. But who would take me seriously? He asked. I'm not trained for that. Yet in June last year, he volunteered at a summer youth retreat and never looked back. Within weeks, doors opened he hadn't even knocked on. Not because he forced them, but because he finally said yes to the life that had been waiting for him. This is your moment, Sagittarius. Don't confuse instability with wrongness. Sometimes chaos is the cost of realignment. You may feel things unraveling, and they are. But not because you're off path. Because you're finally shedding what doesn't fit. If your job, relationship, or daily rhythm is no longer aligned, don't resist the discomfort. Instead, ask, what is this trying to create space for? This month, the universe may test your courage with quiet invitations, unexpected calls, intuitive nudges, or even full disruptions. The goal isn't to scare you. It's to initiate you into leadership, into alignment, into embodiment. Your ancestors didn't survive generations so you could play small. Your soul didn't choose this incarnation to coast. You are here to ignite, to walk the unwalked path, to become the lighthouse you've spent years searching for. So what now? First, listen. Take time to write, to sit in nature, to let silence speak. Then move. Choose one step, even small, that says, I believe in what I cannot yet see. That's all you need to do. And the path will meet you. Because Sagittarius, your purpose is no longer a question. It's a flame. And this month, that flame is being fanned into destiny. Gate 2, the quiet death of what no longer serves. Sagittarius, transformation does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it whispers. And sometimes, most painfully, it asks you to let go before you've had a chance to say goodbye. This chapter is not about what you're gaining. It's about what you must release. You, more than most, understand the call of movement, of change. But this time, it's not about traveling across continents. It's about traveling inward, to the place where outdated identities, roles, and relationships are quietly dying, and asking you to let them. We often think loss must be dramatic to be real. But the deepest losses are often invisible. The moment you realize you've outgrown a friendship that used to feel like home. The day you wake up and know that the dream you've chased for years is no longer yours. The subtle ache of recognizing that someone you love deeply can no longer meet you where you are going. These are spiritual deaths. And June brings them to the surface, not to punish you but to free you. Sagittarius, your life is full of motion. But if you're honest, some of that motion has been escape. You run from what you fear will break you. But this month you cannot outrun the grief. And that's a blessing. Because in stillness, something sacred is waiting to be heard. I once guided a Sagittarius woman named Aria through this very portal. She had been married for 12 years, to a man who once made her feel like the world was wide open. But over time that space had narrowed. Her laughter had become quieter, her goals smaller. She kept telling herself, he's not bad. It's not abusive. Maybe this is what love looks like when it settles. But her soul said otherwise. During the first week of June last year, she had a dream. A field burning and her own hands holding the match. She woke up shaking. And in that moment she knew. Love without growth is not love. It's memory. That week she ended the marriage. It was not cruel. It was not impulsive. It was true. Loss, when chosen from truth, is not destruction. It's liberation. Sagittarius, you may be standing at your own threshold now. Maybe it's not a person. Maybe it's a version of you that has become too small. The you who always says yes. The you who hides your needs to keep the peace. The you who plays confident while quietly collapsing inside. That self is dying. Let it. Grief is not failure. Grief is confirmation that something mattered, and that something new is trying to take its place. Right now, you might feel waves of sadness without context. Tears without a clear reason. That's the soul grieving not only what was, but what could have been. You must feel it to free it. Do not rush the healing. Do not try to be wise too soon. Sit with it. Let the ache teach you what no book can. Let's talk about endings with compassion. If you're in a job that once inspired you but now drains your spirit, what is it costing you to stay? If you're in a relationship where love has become obligation, what story are you protecting by pretending it still fits? If your days feel like autopilot, what version of life are you keeping alive out of fear of the unknown? You are not meant to survive your life. You are meant to live it. Endings are not evidence that you failed. They are proof that you are evolving. You are becoming too alive to remain in what is dead. And yes, others may not understand. When you begin to say no, to walk away, to set boundaries, you will disturb the systems that once relied on your silence. Be gentle, but do not retreat. As Sophia says, your soul doesn't need permission to grow. This is your initiation into truth, into depth, into sacred solitude. Sagittarius, this is the month where you bury the mask, the role, the need to be liked, the need to always be the strong one. You don't have to carry it anymore. Allow yourself to crumble a little. That's where the new roots will grow. I remember a young Sag man named Luca, a musician, wildly talented, but terrified of failing. For years he played backup for other singers, staying in the shadows, pretending he didn't want the spotlight. But the truth? He didn't believe he deserved to be seen. Last June, his mentor passed away suddenly. It shattered him, but in the weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. He began writing again, singing his own words. He told me, when she died, it's like the version of me who was afraid died too. This is how life moves us. Through grief, through surrender, through sacred endings. What? Or who are you ready to release? What belief is too small for your spirit now? Whisper it aloud. Let your own voice witness your truth. That's how alchemy begins. Don't be afraid of the void. It's not empty. It's sacred. It's the womb of everything you've yet to become. This June, if you feel lost, remember. Being lost is often how Sagittarius finds the map. You don't need the destination. You only need to trust the release. And when the ache comes, because it will, wrap it in ceremony. Light a candle. Write the goodbye letter. Burn the bridge with reverence. Honor what was. But do not return. Because on the other side of this sacred death is a version of you more radiant, more honest, and more aligned than you've ever known. Gate 3. The sacred love that awaits. Sagittarius, you were never meant to love in halves. There's something about your heart, wild, curious, radiant, that has always craved more than just companionship. You seek connection, not convenience. You desire recognition, not just romance. You long for someone who doesn't just walk beside you, but runs with your spirit. And yet, for many of you, love has felt like a landscape of compromise, of shrinking, of almost, but not anymore. Because June does not bring you ordinary love. It brings you a mirror, in the form of someone who sees beyond your words and into your soul. Let's be honest. You've given parts of yourself to people who never really knew how to hold you. You've carried the weight of other people's projections. You've dimmed your flame so others could feel comfortable standing in your light. You've mistaken intensity for intimacy, chemistry for connection, and you've called it love. But love, the real kind, is coming. And it doesn't ask you to become someone else to be worthy of it. It begins when you return to yourself. I want to tell you a story. A Sagittarius woman named Marin once told me, I don't think I've ever been seen in love. I've been admired, yes, desired even, but never met. Marin had spent years being the exciting one in every relationship, the muse, the adventurer, the one who always gave more. She traveled, she listened, she opened, but no one stayed long enough to learn her quiet, her soft, her wounds. Until one day, sitting alone in a cafe in Lisbon, she met someone who didn't ask what she did, where she'd been, or what her next flight was. He asked, "What makes you feel safe?" That question cracked her open. Sagittarius, this is your time to be met. Not just followed, not just adored, but met. With reverence. But here's the thing. The sacred love that's on its way is only possible when you stop rehearsing versions of yourself you think others will accept. You do not have to be the fun one all the time. You do not have to pretend you don't want deep commitment just because you're afraid of being labeled too much. You are not too much. You are the exact amount of magic, depth, and passion that someone has been praying for. This month, the stars align to call forth a love that is karmic, not in the way of lessons and heartbreak, but in the way of completion. This is someone who may feel strangely familiar, someone with whom silence feels full, contact feels like memory, someone who doesn't just ask how your day was, but asks who you're becoming. And yes, it may begin unexpectedly. You may meet them at a bookstore while reaching for the same novel, or through a mutual friend who says, you two would get each other. Or maybe, just maybe, they've been in your orbit all along and suddenly you see them differently. The important thing isn't when or how, it's who you are when it happens. Will you recognize them? Or will you dismiss it because it doesn't come in the package your mind expected? You see, Sagittarius, the sacred partner that's coming your way doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be honest, to tell the truth about what hurts, about what you hope for, about where you're still learning how to trust. This is not a rescue. It's not a fairy tale. It's a divine co-creation between two sovereign souls, ready to walk beside each other in wholeness, not codependence. And if you're already in a relationship, this energy still applies. June may be the time you drop your masks, speak the unspoken, break the pattern of avoidance, and reconnect with the truth that first brought you together. You may discover that the love you thought was fading is actually being reborn as something deeper, truer, more sacred than ever before. But to reach that, you must first be brave enough to show up as all of you, even the messy parts, even the afraid parts, even the wildly hopeful parts. Love that is real doesn't flinch when you cry. It doesn't retreat when you reveal your shadows. It holds you gently, fiercely, and says, I'm not going anywhere. And Sagittarius, isn't that what you've always deserved? June is your call to sacred partnership. Not to find someone to complete you, but to stand beside someone who inspires your soul to grow, who mirrors your highest self, and who says yes not just to the best of you but to the all of you. Let your guard down. Open the gates. Say yes not just to love but to the version of you that finally feels safe enough to receive it. Because that's the truth of this moment. The love you're calling in is already on its way. The only thing left to do is believe you're worthy of it. Gate 4. The soul's leap into the unknown. There comes a moment, Sagittarius, when the maps you followed begin to blur, when the stars that once felt like guiding lights go silent, and when even your usually fierce optimism starts to falter. And in that vast, strange pause between what was and what could be, you're left wondering, am I lost, or am I finally free? If the past few months or even years have felt like wandering through a fog with no clear direction, know this: it wasn't punishment. It was preparation, a sacred unraveling, a cosmic silence asking you to listen not with your ears, but with your soul. You Sagittarius are a seeker, not just of places or people but of meaning. But even the most relentless explorer meets a point where the answers run dry, and all that's left is to leap into the unknown. And that moment, beloved, is now. I once sat with a Sagittarius man named Elias who told me, I've done everything I was supposed to do. I worked hard. I traveled. I made the sacrifices. But suddenly, I don't recognize the life I built. His words cracked with both grief and longing. He wasn't failing. He was shedding. And maybe you felt that too, the uncomfortable disorientation of outgrowing your old self while not yet seeing who you're becoming. You used to feel fire, vision, drive. But lately, just emptiness. Like you're standing on the edge of something vast, but without a name for what lies beyond. But here's the truth your spirit already knows. The unknown is not your enemy. It's your portal. The greatest initiations don't come when life is clear. They come when life is clouded. When the universe removes the scaffolding of certainty, so that you're forced to meet your soul without distraction. These are the sacred in-between spaces, the wombs of rebirth. During this time, the stars whisper, not shout. The invitations are quiet. A strange dream that won't leave you, a recurring symbol you keep seeing, an inner tug that says, turn left instead of right. Don't ignore these. They are breadcrumbs from your future self. But to follow them, you'll need to let go of one thing, the illusion of control. That's the hardest part, isn't it? You've always found safety in plans, purpose, motion. But this chapter isn't about doing more. It's about surrendering more. Surrendering not in defeat but in trust. Trust that what you're becoming is beyond what your current mind can comprehend. And I know trust is hard when you feel like you're walking blind. I remember a woman named Leora, another Sagittarius, who lost her job, her relationship, and her home all in the same 3-month span. She told me, "It felt like life was erasing me." But in that erasure, something radical emerged. She stopped chasing. She started listening. She began writing poetry, not because she wanted to be a poet, but because her soul had things to say. 3 years later, she runs a global coaching business built on helping others navigate uncertainty. But it all began when she dared to trust her unraveling. Sagittarius, June is not the time to demand answers. It is the time to stay open, to stop filling the silence with distractions, to breathe through the discomfort of not knowing, to ask your higher self, "What would you have me see?" And then be still enough to receive. You may feel emotions rise: grief, confusion, loneliness, even anger. Let them come. These are not signs of weakness. They are detoxes. They are echoes of versions of you that can no longer walk forward. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. The spiritual awakening that's arriving isn't just an idea. It's a cellular shift. You may feel physical symptoms: fatigue, heightened sensitivity, dreams that feel more real than waking life. This is the soul preparing to embody a higher frequency. Let it. You don't need to know the outcome. You only need to keep saying yes. Yes to the meditations that make you cry, even when you don't know why. Yes to journaling even when the words feel clumsy. Yes to asking your guides for signs, and noticing when they come. Yes to sitting under the stars and remembering that even when the night feels long, light is never far away. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to break them. And the universe, it's not abandoning you. It's clearing the way. Your guides have not gone silent, they've gone subtle. Because now it's your voice they want you to hear. Now is the time when intuition must become louder than logic. When the unknown becomes more trustworthy than the familiar. When you finally realize, uncertainty is not the absence of truth. It's the space where truth reveals itself. This journey doesn't demand that you become fearless. It only asks that you keep walking even with the fear. That you keep believing even when nothing makes sense. That you remember, Sagittarius doesn't just follow the stars. Sagittarius becomes the light that others follow. So take the leap. Into silence. Into mystery. Into grace. The unknown is not your punishment. It is your path to power. Conclusion: Sagittarius, step into the light that was always yours. Sagittarius, take a breath. Feel your heartbeat. Let everything you've just traveled through, the visions, the losses, the longings, the unknowns, settle into your spirit like soft golden dust. You have not simply listened to a message today. You've walked a path, a sacred remembering, a reclamation of everything you were always meant to be. In the beginning, we stood at the edge of a new timeline. We spoke of courage, of transformation, of a rare cosmic window that would never come again in the same form. That window is not somewhere in the distance. It is here now, waiting for your yes. You've faced the crumbling of old identities. You've looked into the mirror of uncertainty and dared to ask what more your soul was made for. And now, as this journey draws to a close, I want to remind you of something essential. This isn't the end. This is the moment you begin walking as the reborn you. The version of you who no longer settles, who no longer chases, who no longer waits for permission to shine. You have the fire of the cosmos in your chest. And you have every right to take up space, speak your truth, and lead others by simply being who you are. Authentically, unapologetically, wholeheartedly. You are not a wanderer anymore. You are a way shower. So as this cosmic cycle closes and a new one opens, ask yourself this. What would change if I truly believed I was ready? What conversations would you start? What old fears would you drop? What dreams would you stop delaying? Because you are ready. You always have been. And if this journey touched you, if it helped you remember even one fragment of your own power, then I ask you, from one soul to another. Like this video, if it echoed something true within you, share it with someone else who may be walking their own sacred threshold. Subscribe to this channel, not as a passive follower, but as part of a tribe of souls awakening together. And if you feel moved to support this work through a tip, know that it's not just appreciated, It's a love offering that helps these messages reach those still searching in the dark. There's a link in the description if your heart says yes. Thank you, Sagittarius, for showing up, for feeling deeply, for stepping forward, even when the way wasn't clear. The universe is watching. Your guides are proud, and your future self is already cheering you on. You are not just becoming, you are arriving.